This is Aussie Mac Zone. We'll cover everything Apple, including Macs, iPhones, iPads, and more. All this from an Aussie perspective. Sit back, relax, insert yourself into the zone. The Aussie Mac Zone.
All right.
Yep.
We are live then.
We are.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to show 234 of Aussie Mac Zone. 234. Geez, we're knocking them down. That's great to hear. we mightn't be great, but we're regular.
Yeah.
So this week's sponsors, AussieTechRadio.com and ATHWebHosting.com.au. And our Aussie Apple ramblings this week. So this is a safety one. Apple is replacing the batteries for some 13-inch MacBook Pros. Apple has unveiled a program to replace the batteries of some non-touch bar 13-inch MacBook Pros for free. The company says that a limited number have had their batteries expand. 9 to 5 spotted the program, which will allow users to get the computer's battery replaced for certain non-touch bar 13-inch MacBook Pro models. Apple notes that a small number of computers manufactured between October 16 and October 17 have a faulty component which causes the battery to expand. The page for the program has a field for owners to submit their computer serial number to check its eligibility. If their computer qualifies, users can bring their MacBook Pro to visit an authorised dealer or a retail store, or can mail it to Apple's repair centre. Users who have already replaced their battery can contact the company to see about getting a refund. Apple notes that any damage that inhibits the battery's replacement will need to be repaired first, and that program doesn't extend the computer's standard warranty. That's because they found it early enough, I think, is what they're trying to say there.
Yep.
And just another word of warning while we're talking about little issues. Apparently, iOS 11.3 update, which came out a week ago or 2 weeks ago, breaks iPhone 8 devices which have third-party repaired screens. This happened previously on another update for other different phones too. Users who have had a screen repair performed by a third party rather than with Apple on their iPhone 8 smartphones found that the 11.3 update stopped the touchscreen from working, reports Motherboard. The update was pushed out 29th of March, introducing Apple's promised iPhone battery health information. The screens continue to display the home screen once updated to 11.3, but cannot be interacted with, effectively rendering the device unusable and without any warning from Apple. Now, this is good. This is real good. Apple's latest App Store redesign for iOS shows an 800% increase in downloads for featured apps. That's pretty big, 800% increase.
That's massive.
It is. A new report from Sensor Tower via TechCrunch indicates that developers that get featured on the App Store are seeing up to an 800% increase on downloads, specifically with the App of the Day or Game of the Day spots. The firm looked at data between September 17, launch month for iOS 11, and today. And during this time, median US iPhone downloads for apps that snagged the Game of the Day spot increased by 802% for the week following the feature, compared with the week prior to the feature. While not as large as being featured in App Store Stories or in an app list, saw an average increase of between 222 and 240% in terms of downloads. So that's massive. Absolutely massive.
That's huge. That's great.
Sorry, I've still got my bark and cough and stuff, so I hope everyone's still got their speakers covered with a hanky from last week. Reminder this week that we are brought to you by athwebhosting.com.au. Affordable competitive plans, 99.95% uptime, domain registration available, free setup, auto setup 24/7, instant activation, accepting PayPal as well as other cards, 250 scripts installed with one click, including WordPress and Joomla, and many, many more. They use the C panel, the industry standard user-friendly, feature-rich control panel, all from $5.95 per month when paid annually. 24/7 ticket support, and remember, they've got a new, really cool way of creating web pages. So it's nearly time for Glenn to start giving us 2 weeks free, I think. Keep hassling him, and he should give 2 weeks free so people can test it and enjoy it. Now, here's a good story from Mr. Tim Cook, the beloved leader.
Hi, Michael. Good evening. When we did the introduction this evening, somehow I don't know.
I missed it. I missed it altogether.
I know. I'm just sitting back here thinking, hang on, he's going to say hello, Zarn, but no hello.
Zarn who? Hello, Zarn. I apologise. I totally missed that bit altogether tonight.
That's fine. Everyone can see me now anyway. They can see how disgruntled I am.
Yes. Yeah. I can't see any difference. You're always cranky. Sorry, buddy. I apologise for that.
No worries.
Tim Cook insists on merging Mac and iPod would result in compromises. Apple CEO Tim Cook remains against the idea of merging the Mac and the iPod to create one unified hardware and software experience, according to a brief conversation he had at the Apple education event in Chicago.
It's the iPad, not the iPod.
Oh, I'm having a good roll, aren't I?
Yeah.
That's what you're here for.
That's right.
Yes, iPod. Why have I got iPod on the brain?
So it says, Apple CEO Tim Cook remains against the idea of merging the Apple Mac and iPod to create an unified hardware and software experience. So,
yes.
Yeah.
We don't believe in sort of watering down one for the other, said Cook. Speaking with the Sydney Morning Herald's Peter Wells. Come on, Aussie.
Hey.
One of the reasons that both of them are incredible is because we push them to do what they do well. And if you begin to merge the two, you begin to make trade-offs and compromises. So maybe the company would be more efficient at the end of the day, but that's not what this is about, he added. It's about giving people things they can use to help them change the world or express their passion or express their creativity. So this merger thing that some folks are fixated on, I don't think that's what users want. Cook reiterated that he generally uses a Mac at work and uses an iPad at home and for travel, but added, I use everything and I love everything. Apple's boss also revealed that an Apple IIc released in 1984, which we talked about last week.
We talked about last week. Yep.
Yeah, was his first computer. See, it was my second computer. I first used it for a project as a senior in engineering school, making an inventory control program, or for a rental business that was close by, said Cook, who majored in industrial engineering at Auburn University. That's Auburn in the US, not Auburn down in Parramatta Road. So good on him.
Yeah, we had those at school too, showing my age as well. Mm-hmm. But we had the Mac 2s, and this was years after because public schools in Australia kept their computers for decades back then. Yep. And so we had Honeywells and the Mac 2s, and we'd play our little spelling games on them and stuff like that. We'd get computer time for, I think it was a 45-minute class. Yeah. Twice a week or something like that in primary school, and we get to go in and play Hangman and all that, or a math game or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, they're great computers. Well, they were anyway back then.
They were back then. Yep. Yeah. Now, iOS 12 will continue supporting iPhone 5S. WebKit developer reports suggest. References to iOS 12, Apple's next iteration of its mobile operating system, have surfaced in development testing reports for WebKit, with the appearance strongly suggesting Apple will be bringing the next major iOS release to the iPhone 5S as the oldest supported model. Now, here's another story.
So what's that mean for, say, well, my nan's got an iPhone 5S anyway, but yeah, if she didn't and she only had the iPhone 4,
she would lose the security updates, basically.
Okay. Yep.
That's the most important thing that you're losing when you're not getting updates from Apple.
Yeah.
And the same thing applies for Macs as well.
Yep.
You lose your security updates.
Yep.
The phone still works, but you just got to be more careful about where you go and what you do.
Yep.
Now, original Mac designer Susan Kerr, K-A-R-E, is to receive a prestigious AIGA medal. Susan Kerr, a former Apple designer known to many as the woman who gave the Macintosh a smile, will later this month receive an American Institute of Graphic Arts medal, an honour bestowed upon visual arts icons like Richard Avedon, Paul Rand, and Charles and Ray Eames. So, yeah, she deserves that. She's been around a long time, doing great things, especially early on. We know she had a lot of little inputs to do with the original Mac, etc. So,
awesome.
Now, another reminder. This week we are brought to you by Aussie Tech Radio at aussietechradio.com. We have the Aussie Tech Security Podcast, the award-winning Aussie Tech Heads Podcast, and our new show, the Aussie Tech Crypto Podcast. And it also has other podcasts from Australia. So you just set it playing in the background, like I say, keep saying, and just let it run in the background. Please listen to some of that crap talkback radio. And and self-promoting TV shows, and and it's just you'll always pick up one thing, at least one thing a week, which means you're always in front, doesn't it?
Well, that's it. And I love podcasts, so I'm all about that sort of stuff too.
Now, also just talking of podcasts, it's not in the notes or anything.
Yeah,
we talked. One of the podcasts that Garth gave us a few weeks ago that he was listening to was The Story Behind.
Yes.
That is awesome. It is an awesome podcast. Only really short. That's the most frustrating thing. You just start to get learn more and more, and then it's finished. But The Story Behind, brilliant podcast.
I still haven't had a chance to give that one a listen because I follow so many podcasts, so I've got to actually get rid of some and get some new ones because I'm getting a bit bored of them. So The Story Behind, I will remember that and I'll have a listen.
The Story Behind, it is awesome. Yeah. Now, I've got a couple of Australian-based stories, which is good. I'm just going to have another drink to try and get over this cough thing happening. Now, health holds crown as the most breached sector in Australia. The Office of the Australian Information Commissioner has received 63 data breach notifications in its first 6 weeks of the scheme's operation. The office has revealed that it received 63 notifications since Australia's Notifiable Data Breaches scheme came into effect on February 22. The quarterly statistics report, January to March, revealed that health service providers accounted for 15 breaches, legal, accounting and management services suffered 10, finance, including superannuation, recorded 8 breaches, education suffered 6, and charities 4. And this is where they've got to tell you if your name and email address or whatever has been breached. It's up to them to make sure that they notify you properly these days. We are keeping on top of it, and there's our first bit of information straight away.
Yep.
So when it says health service providers, I'm guessing that's like HCF, or it might be just your doctor. They haven't really pointed that out. But
yeah, I thought it might be because they brought in the new medical database system.
Yeah, but it says health service providers, not that particular one. So it might be just a doctor, or it might be HCF, MBF, whatever you want to.
Yeah.
Whatever. So I can't be specific, but please keep that in mind. Another thing is Australian health records, you're not allowed to store overseas. You just got to be aware of that if you run a business where they tell you that sort of information. Now, another Australian-based story, which is great. The Australian House Committee pushes digital retraining fund for displaced workers. The committee has also recommended a digital grants program for small businesses to take part in the digital economy.
Awesome.
The Australian House of Representatives Standing Committee on Industry, Innovation, Science and Resources has said customer-facing workers in the traditional retail sector will be especially hit with the rise of online shopping in Australia, and has recommended a fund to help retrain displaced workers. Writing in its Internet Competition Inquiry report tabled on Wednesday, the committee said internet-based competition, while disruptive, is more likely to be a positive for the Australian economy, with jobs in warehousing, transport and logistics outnumbering those lost in customer-facing retail roles. That's because a lot of the retail places have already chopped theirs to crap anyway. Like Myer, for example, there's about 4 people on one floor of a massive shopping centre. Like, I don't get it. But anyway. The experience in the United States, where online shopping is much more established, is that the jobs created by e-commerce comfortably outnumber the jobs lost in the traditional retail sector, the report said. Among its dozen recommendations, the committee said the government should create a digital retraining fund to boost digital literacy and skills of workers before they are displaced. Many Australian workers already have an advanced digital skills or have the means to comfortably support themselves to undertake training. Therefore, the funding should be targeted at Australian workers with relatively low level digital skills or in occupations at significant risk of being replaced by digital processes, the report said. This includes... my screen's just changed stories.
That's right.
Because I accidentally touched the wrong link.
This includes many Australians currently employed in customer-facing retail roles.
So good on them for at least they're thinking forward. That's great to hear.
And they're right too, because we are going more online for things and stuff like that. And as for Myer, you're right. You walk through Myer now, and there is only, especially in like the big section in where we are in Penrith, where the perfumes and the makeups and stuff are. And there's only a few ladies, and they sort of work in between the counters now. I guess because you can go to Myer online and buy everything there and just have it delivered to your home. But I don't know. I think I still like going to the shop. And, I do buy online. I buy a lot of stuff online, but I still like going to the shop as well. So.
I do my exercise is walking around Woolworths doing the shopping. So. After I've had a big lunch.
That's right. Going to buy the stuff you need to deep fry at home.
Exactly. Now, this week in Apple history, there's a couple of things good happening. So in 1985, after selling only 60,000 units over 2 years, Apple officially discontinues the Lisa computer, which was the forerunner of the Macintosh. But in 2002, Apple announces the eMac, especially for the education market, but it became so popular they released it after just a month or so to everybody, the whole public. And that basically was a 15-inch iMac.
Yep.
Now, in 2003, Apple launched the iTunes Music Store. So it was only, 16 years? 15 years?
Yep.
Yeah. But 1 year later, Apple announced that it had 70 million downloads in the iTunes Store. That was the first year.
Wow.
Awesome. Now, how about, what's the difference between a data backup and an archive? So data backups are meant to give you a fast way to recover data. Time Machine is an example of a data backup that Mac OS has. A backup has two purposes: recovering data after it's lost and recovering data from an earlier time. Sorry. Now, a data archive is meant for long-term storage of data, and we're talking decades. Whereas quick recovery is important for a backup, speed isn't as important for an archive. What is important is searchability and the storage medium you choose. Backups generally store data in a proprietary format like Time Machine, and that's not good for archiving. What happens if Apple stops using Time Machine in 10 years and moves to a new method? Your data archive is screwed unless you have an old Mac you can use. Now, you'll also want to maintain your files in specific universal file formats. For example, text files can be read and written on most computers. So basically what they're saying is all your Word files need to be saved back as text files, for example.
Yeah.
PDFs are also generally considered to be a format that most systems can handle. Backups are part of a disaster recovery plan, and most experts recommend having more than one backup. A good plan is having an external drive at your home and another external drive somewhere else, like a friend's house. So, yeah, just please think about that. Now, I've got a little special story just before we sign off. Oh, actually, I've got one other thing before I do the little special story. We had a big challenge this week with one of my clients to do with Apple's new file system, APFS, and certain third-party SSD drives. They just don't work. And we're talking like SSD drives for MacBook Pros, not the current sort of stick type SSD, not the 2.5-inch spinning drive replacement SSDs. I haven't tried it on those yet, and these were from reputable places like AWC, etc. And getting APFS to work and then accept the operating system was impossible. We're talking hours and hours and hours of isolating what the problem was. So yeah, just be aware if you're ordering from overseas or from here, you have to make sure they put it in writing that it's going to work with APFS. Otherwise, you may not be up to scratch with it. So yeah, it's a bit of a challenge, APFS, because there's quite a few things it doesn't work on. For example, when Fusion drives still aren't working with APFS. So yeah, just do some research. Do a bit more research than you normally would.
That's good advice.
I know it's hard work. We're talking hours went into this. So. Now, a special little iPhone report, an iPhone thank you letter. Live photo saved my grandmother's laugh. The way that technology can touch us personally is captured in a thank you letter an iPhone user sent to Apple. Noting appreciation for live photos capture of ambient sound and video of a loved one who has passed away. Apple's chief executive, Tim Cook, responded with a note of condolences and appreciation for sharing the story, stating it is deeply inspiring to us. So, yeah, just those live photos, videos, things that we couldn't normally do really easy or at that right time. Yep. When you go, people stop being ordinary people when you put a video camera in front of them and things. So, yeah, just little things to think about.
Yep.
So, show promotion. Our show notes link each week on our show uploads. Spotify, just search Aussie Mac Zone or Aussie News, Apple News, the Apple News site. Search Aussie Mac Zone. And thank you to our listeners and sponsors, this week being athwebhosting.com.au and aussietechradio.com. And you, our supporters and listeners. Thank you very, very much.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Good night, Mr. Zarn.
Good night, Mr. Michael. Always happy to be here. Remember, an apple a day keeps the Androids away. All right, guys. See you later.